Good morning to you.
Morning.
Currently, situation in Russia and Ukraine. We've seen it has been over a year that war has been triggered up. A whole lot of things has happened so far. But currently, as we speak, we see the massive drone attack on Russia. And the question is, the world powers are afraid of the president of the Russia. He might use nuclear weapon. He might come up with a different dimension. Everybody is afraid currently. Maybe that might trigger Third World War or what? And concerning Africa, Traore in Burkina Faso also been seen that middle of the issue. So how do you see it? Do you think Ukraine, with support of Russia, Germany and NATO, could be able to defeat Russia, or Russia have a second thought whereby they might come up with a nuclear weapon, or something might happen to stop Ukraine or stop the war, or Donald Trump himself have what it takes to navigate things, to make things work globally?
Let me respond to that directly from the international angle. The war, as we see today, is a sort of collapse of advanced diplomacy, between the Russia, Ukraine, and of course the leader of the world. I'm talking about the United States of America. The collapse of that level of diplomacy is what triggered that war. And we must bring in the Obama factor. We must bring in the Joe Biden factor. And to Donald Trump, I think to an extent we are expecting to see a kind of ceasefire, so that we cannot to see the whole trade agreement and deals and treaties will be brought to book. If there's anyone they want to review, they should review it, But lately, we like Vladimir Putin, please, in as much as we have a lot of respect for you in your agenda in trying to liberate Africa, you should also look at the angle that, there's no how you're going to get away with this for reality. Vladimir Putin need to calm down a little bit now and look at the options of ceasefire, look at the options of peace, look at the options of continued devastation that might trigger you be removed from office. That is the clear truth, because Trump is for peace. You see what is happening in the Middle East already, and consider the fact that Ibrahim Traore is trying to get the attention of the Russia to decolonize Africa, which is very important at this moment in time. Well, we'll expect Vladimir Putin to introduce high level of diplomacy in trying to see how these things can be resolved, amicably without further bombardment, because a war has stages. Before we get to the issue of high-tech armory, weapons being used and targeted at perceived enemy targets and all that, it will be very devastating. And you can see, I was not actually pleased that Vladimir Putin is not reporting, on the peace process, or attending peace meetings or negotiations that will end the war and open up the world economy the more, because Ukraine is the largest producer of grain in the whole world, wheat in the whole world, and the world can continue like this, and there's massive scarcity of bread, there's massive scarcity of food, because most of these things has to go through other refined products and other, and be able to have a direct impact on the economy of the world, and the issue of the gas too. Yes, I agreed with Putin on some reservations, but Donald Trump has given you a blue atmosphere for you to sit down with whatever Zelensky you're having with Zelensky. Let it be resolved. Because by the time they say that this guy has been in Turkey, you didn't show face. He has been in EU conferences where you are being invited, you didn't come, a lot of places to show that he's ready, just to because of the deal, even though the deal was not pleasant to the Ukrainian people. Zelensky went into that deal with United States of America. Quite depressing. He has to accept it. Because, you understand? And Trump knows. You can see how he was, put to a point of embarrassment while he was exchanging views with the president of America. I'm talking about Donald Trump. So he can only put a call to Vladimir Putin, and they talk on call. So, but we expected that by now this thing would have come out, because it is definitely going to affect the revolution trying to build up within Africa, led by Ibrahim Traore, trying to make sure that Africa is totally decolonized. It will be very devastating that if Moscow, Russia, comes under full attack by NATO allied forces and so many UN peacekeeping and using any form of armory. They cannot be able to stand it, and that it will get to a point that the allied forces, the coalition forces, the NATO, United Nations, these things are being controlled by America. They can decide to say, okay, this is the direction that Putin must go, and any attempt for you to have a trigger any form of nuclear armament, that will be the end of Russia and Ukraine. And I can tell you, and nothing will happen. The world will be able to bring it down, because I know the capabilities America have. I'm not ruling out, look at for a way to make Russia an industrialized nation. Stop hyping on China, who is more commercialized. Yes, China is a threat, and aligning with them does not mean that America does not know what China is doing, or whether China is 100 years ahead of them, or whether they are 1 million years ahead of China. It cannot predict America. Currently now, America has gotten to a level of, just like what we are seeing in Israel. Nobody can predict Israel now. Israel said they are not going to be buying any weapon from anybody. They're going to do whatever they want to do within the secret intelligence of the Israeli armory, weapon and technology, to be able to get something to defend themselves at the end of the day. But Vladimir Putin should look at what he has already started in Africa, and allowing Europe, EU, Western world to trigger anything that will bring his attention diverted from what he wants to achieve with China or whatever in Africa, will get a very big blow, and will allow the so-called the francophone leaders to return fully to Africa and continue their exploitation.
We also learned that Putin is actually accusing Germany of massively support to Ukrainians, using their drone to attack Russians, and saying Germany should stop that, or else he is ready to attack Germany.
He cannot attack Germany. What is he going to attack Germany for? Germany is part of the EU, the EU nations. Germany is part of the coalition forces. Germany is part of NATO. Germany also is an allied force of the United States of America. Germany is aligned with the United Nations vision on Ukraine. So he doesn't expect, when Vladimir Putin, Zelensky runs to Merz of the Vice Chancellor of Germany, and he will keep quiet, because they are the one that was part of the Russia-Ukraine support even under Biden. So you don't expect them to just leave Ukraine, openly for Russia to run over. There are some certain things that need high level of diplomacy, and that can be solved just by sitting on the table. And that is the options Donald Trump wanted to, have a table before Vladimir Putin. But the international space now, this war is not about conquest. This war is about trade. This war is about economy. It's about energy. There's a lot of things factored into it, which many people might not be able to see. And Russia always see NATO present within the country, like Ukraine and all the nearby neighboring countries, as a threat, because of the Russia level of technological confidentiality trying to do their thing they want without anybody giraffing from them, maybe from a nearby. And the fear is that the NATO, Russia feel that with NATO present within that space now, Russia can be attacked at any time. So it's a threat. So that's why I said at this point that, but Putin, yes, a great guy, I love him, his courage, a smart guy, working perfectly. He should take up his pain and pad, and be part of whatever conference and contribute his own quota. Take a stand, and I think every party will shift ground. At the end of the day, peace will be returned, because peace at this point in time is what the United Nations is talking about.
Thank you.